So in this video I want to talk about how to make and use herbal honeys. So herbal honeys are such a great way for the kitchen herbalist to integrate more herbs into their diet and lifestyle. They taste great because they're inherently sweet because of the honey. They're incredibly versatile. You can use herbal honey to spread onto toast, you can spoon it into porridge, you can make hot drinks out of it by adding it into a cup with hot water. You can put it on pancakes, you can use it in cooking, you can coat vegetables in it. It's such a great versatile way of using herbs, and I think one of the things we always recommend is that people make a selection, 3, 4, 5 different types of herbal honeys. Keep it in your kitchen apothecary that you can turn to. So if you can feel a cold coming on, use the herbal honey. That's great for stimulating immunity and clearing colds. You know that it's a great one to get comfortable with. In the recipes that we've given you as part of this course, there's a variety of herbal honey recipes that you can use. The curried herbal honey is one of our favourites. The yogi flexibility honey is fantastic as well. The cinnamon honeys, which we're going to make now, is fantastic too. So they're a great way of using herbs. The other benefit is, well, they're really quick to make. So you obviously need some basic ingredients to make your herbal honey. You need honey, you need a sterilised jar. It's really important that the jar you make the herbal honey in is sterilised. You don't want any microbes in it. The best way of doing that is just cleaning it in boiling water and then drying it out in a warm oven until it's completely dry. And all of these instructions are in the workbook as well, in written form. So you need a clean, sterile jar. You need your honey. You need your herbs. You need a spoon to decant it from as well. When you're making herbal honey, the runnier the honey, the easier it is to mix with the herbs. So this has been sat on the radiator for about half an hour before we filmed this. So it's really runny. So it's a great, particularly in colder months, in your autumn, winter. If you're making herbal honey, it's so much easier if it's runny. So just stick it on the radiator. The other thing to emphasize is that when you start off making and experimenting with herbal honeys, a lot of people find it easier to use powdered herbs. So you can use herbs in their whole form. So for example, if we're going to be making a cinnamon honey now, this is pure ground organic cinnamon powder. It's a lot easier to make honey with powder because it mixes into the honey more easily and more efficiently. But you can use whole herbs. So if you're using cinnamon, you can get the cinnamon sticks and you can ground it up. If you're using rosemary, you can use whole leaves. But we really recommend that you use powdered herbs when you start experimenting with herbal honeys. All the recipes in the recipe book use powdered herbs. If you've only got whole herbs, then you can easily just put them in a food blender, put them in a NutriBullet, or even really grind them up in the mortar and pestle. But definitely cut your teeth on herbal honeys using powdered herbs. So to make a herbal honey, so on this one we're going to make a cinnamon and allspice honey, which is fantastic for clearing mucus. It's great for colds. It's great for regulating blood sugar. It's great for elevating mood. It's a tonic honey. So all you need is around 250 mils of raw honey. It's really important you use good quality raw honey, because honey in and of itself is a medicine. Your honey is antibacterial, it's antiviral, it's antifungal, it's an immune stimulant. It's loaded with healthy fatty acids. It's loaded with vitamins and minerals. And honey acts as a carrier for the herbs. So the honey's hygroscopic, so it sucks the chemical components within the herbs. The healing properties of the herbs are transferred into the honey. So it's a carrier, but it's also a medicine in its own right. So we want to be using good quality raw honey. We don't want processed, mass-produced honey, which is essentially just like golden syrup. It's just sugar. So good quality raw honey, 250 mils. For this recipe, every recipe uses different ratios of honey and different ratios of herbs, so you need to obviously customize this for the recipe you're using. So you get your jar, pour. You want to fill the jar about 2/3, 3/4 with honey. So yeah, so that's just over 2/3 filled-ish. You don't need to be that precise with this. You know, it can be quite fluid. So then you want to add your 2 tablespoons of, for this recipe, cinnamon powder straight into the honey. So 1, 2, and then you want to add 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of allspice powder. So I'm going to put 1 in because I think honeys are a bit nicer when they're strong. Okay. So now you've got your honey, your raw honey. You've got your powdered herbs in the top of those, and they won't separate. They create their own level. So you've got to give it a really good stir. You need to really whisk it in, stir it in, so that the powdered herbs are blended into the honey. But it takes a while to get that to do it. You don't want to kind of leave all the herbs sat on the top. You want to make sure it's really well blended in. And what you find, you might need to add more honey in as you blend, because obviously the powdered herbs absorb the honey, so the level drops. So here now, I definitely want to add a bit more in, probably another inch, I would say. There you go. So just keep on, give that a really good stir. Keep on blending it. And then what you find is once you've stirred it enough, if you look at the bottom of the jar, you can see that the herbs have migrated down, have been stirred down all the way to the bottom of the jar. And that's a sure sign that the herbs and the honey have blended properly. But the more you stir it, the more you mix it, the more evenly distributed the herbs are, the more even the taste is. You don't get clumps of herbs. So once you've done that, you've then got your herbal honey. If you're using powdered herbs, you don't need to try and filter it out. You just take it off the spoon. You use the honey as you would if it was pure honey. So once you've done that, all you need to do is get your lid, an airtight lid. You need a good quality lid. Do it up really tight, and then leave your herbal honey in a cool, dark cupboard for around 2 to 3 weeks, for the herbs to macerate, for them to combine, for the active compounds in the herbs to be mobilized. Label it. You want to know what it is, because ideally you want 4 or 5 different types of herbal honey in your cupboard. So label that one cinnamon and allspice honey. Put a date on it. Leave it in the cupboard for 3 weeks to macerate, and then take it out. It's ready to use. The shelf life of that is comfortably a year. It's probably a lot longer in reality, but as a general consensus is use it within a year. Taking a teaspoon a day, like I say, in toast, in porridge, on pancakes, in hot water, it's just a great tonic, particularly in winter time, as an immune stimulant, to prevent colds, as an antibiotic, to help clear mucus, to elevate mood, to deal with the lack of sunlight. It's sweet tasting because of the cinnamon, and kids love it. So it's that simple. It's as simple as that. So if you had all your ingredients, if you had all your honey, you could make the 3, 4, 5 different types of honey probably in half an hour, put them all in your kitchen apothecary, and they're ready to go. The only other thing to emphasize is that you mustn't give herbal honey to children. We mustn't give any honey to children under the age of 1, just because of the risk of the botulism and the bacteria in honey. So other than that, it's suitable for everyone. So look through the recipe book, look at the herbs you've got in your kitchen now, and get some good quality honey and begin to experiment with making your own herbal honeys.